Hey there, Black Sheep. Welcome back to the channel. What have I been doing for a year and a few months? Well, my hair grew. I went to Portugal. I moved. Didn't set up my office. Got a dog. Lots of stuff. Lots of good stuff. Lots of therapy. And I'm back. Why did I fall off the face of the earth? Well, thank you to the few who reached out to me to make sure that I fell off the face of the earth on my own accord and not for any awful reasons. The reason I stopped was because it wasn't sustainable. I wasn't enjoying reading the Watchtower. I still will not enjoy reading the Watchtower. I'm a free person. I don't have to do that anymore. But I enjoy helping you. And there was my dilemma. I've decided that the relaunch of this channel will be an abridged version. We are no longer going to go paragraph by paragraph. What we're going to do is just go subheading by subheading and pick the highlights or most egregious uses of the bite model. The bite model is a scientific model used to identify high control groups and cults, and the methods that they use to coerce, recruit, and control their members. So the official website of the bite model will be linked in the description below. On this episode of This Bites, we're going to be discussing the November 2023 study edition of the Watchtower, and the study article we're going to be analyzing is study article 52. Young Sisters Become Mature Christian Women. So the preview of the article sets up what we are going to learn. And it says, "You, dear young sisters, are valued in the congregation. You can reach Christian maturity by cultivating godly qualities, developing practical skills, and preparing to take on future roles. As a result, you will enjoy many blessings in Jehovah's service. Jehovah's chariot is constantly moving and progressing, and the light is always getting brighter. So let's get excited, young ladies, to see what these future roles and responsibilities could be." And since it's about the girlies today, I figured my girl power mug would be fitting. The first subheading didn't have any glaring uses of the bite model. However, the preview that I read did. Emotional control. Promote feelings of guilt or unworthiness, such as identity guilt. You are not living up to your potential. Basically, if you want to remain valued and if you want to receive blessings from God, then you'll build these skills that we tell you to. Paragraph 2, again, no bite model in there. Just wanted to point out that according to the Watchtower Bible Tract Society, Jehovah made humans to be male or female. So they believe in the binary spectrum of gender expression, and that Jehovah made men and women to fulfill specific roles. Subheading 2, cultivate godly qualities. Paragraph 3, immediately we have use of the bite model, information control, where we see it instructs us to go to jw.org for an article on women in the Bible. Information control. Extensive use of cult-generated information and propaganda, including newsletters, magazines, journals, audio tapes, videotapes, YouTube, movies, and other media. Paragraph 4 then instructs young women to identify a few mature Christian women who they know they can imitate their example. This is an example of information control. Information control. Encourage spying on other members. Impose a buddy system to monitor and control members. Report deviant thoughts, feelings, and actions to leadership. Ensure that individual behavior is monitored by the group. Pair up with someone who has been indoctrinated for probably more years than you've been alive, and have them correct your behavior, rely on them to indoctrinate you as deeply as they have been indoctrinated, and confide in them any of your errant thoughts so that they can fix you to be a better Christian woman. The major 3 qualities they want young women to cultivate are humility, modesty, and discernment. In paragraph 6, it says, you look at the example of Rebecca in the Bible. It says that she was an intelligent and decisive woman. And basically what they're saying, this is fine. You can be intelligent and decisive if you are respectful and submissive. Because at the latter part of the paragraph it says, yet she was respectful and submissive. If you take initiative, you're decisive and intelligent, but you're not submissive and respectful to those taking the lead, the men, then you're not going to be viewed as a good Christian woman. Paragraph 5 also leads you to a headnote directing you to another Watchtower article. Information control. Extensive use of cult-generated information and propaganda, including newsletters, magazines, journals, audio tapes, videotapes, YouTube, movies, and other media. In the modesty section, it says that Esther's modesty protected her from acting presumptuously, and that she sought the advice of her older cousin Mordecai. So basically, this is teaching young women not to act presumptuously. Don't take the initiative. Don't make your own decision. Don't just act because you believe it's the right thing. Seek the advice of the older Christians, preferably a male older Christian in this case. Basically, don't trust your own brain. Seek out and apply good advice. Emotional control. Promote feelings of guilt or unworthiness, such as your thoughts, feelings, actions are irrelevant or selfish. Behavior control. Permission required for major decisions. Don't act presumptuously.
And do you see yourselves as Jehovah God's spokespeople on earth?
That, I think, would seem to be quite presumptuous to say that we are the only spokesperson that God is using.
It then moves on to quote a scripture in Esther saying that she was beautifully formed and attractive in appearance, but that she did not draw undue attention to herself. It then says that Christian women should dress modestly. A woman's dress should be respectable and show consideration for the feelings and opinions of others. What were you wearing? Is your low-cut top or tightly fitted blouse or slit up the side of your skirt or open-backed dress or exposed shoulder dress leading somebody on? Are you causing married men to look your way? Who decides what's modest? The Watchtower Bible Tract Society decides what's modest. Who decided that skirts and dresses are more modest than trousers or pants that fully cover your legs for women? Behavior control. Control types of clothing and hairstyles. And I'm going to link in the description a video by another XJW YouTuber. Her channel is called Don't Drink the KoolAid. She doesn't put out videos regularly, much like myself, but I very much enjoy her channel. And I remember the video that she dissects. I remember watching it as a young person. It is a young person ask video about how to make real friends. And in one of the beginning discussions, they talk about the Bible character Dinah and how she had bad association, and this led her to being the young people in the video, the young Jehovah's Witnesses in the video, are discussing the scenario, and it is very victim blamey. And I just think it's important that you go and watch that and know that this is how they're training their young people to think. The last quality is discernment. And it says discernment. It is good judgment, the ability to tell right from wrong. And if you remember, humility was first. You need to be humble enough to know to ask for advice. And then discernment also helps us to know when to speak and when to keep silent.
Emotional control. Promote feelings of guilt or unworthiness, such as your thoughts, feelings, actions are irrelevant or selfish, social guilt. Emotional control. Instill fear, such as fear of thinking independently, losing one's salvation, others' disapproval.
So, young women, now that we've learned to be humble enough to know when to shut up, modest in our dress, and modest enough to not trust our own initiative, thoughts, and intelligence, but that of others, discerning enough to know when to shut up, we'll also learn some practical skills. So, the next subheading is develop practical skills. Paragraph 10 says a Christian woman needs to develop practical skills. Some skills that a girl learns in childhood will continue to benefit her throughout her life. Consider a few examples. So they want you to start in childhood, start learning these things early, indoctrinate those kids now. The first skill is learn to read and write. Be literate. That's wonderful. I hope that for lots of people. But learn to read and write. I too believe that women and girls should learn to read and write. This way, while they're humbly and modestly discerning that they should keep their mouths shut, they are still able to communicate. There's more information control where it directs you to another article on jw.org.
Information control. Extensive use of cult-generated information and propaganda, including newsletters, magazines, journals, audio tapes, videotapes, YouTube, movies, and other media.
Develop good communication skills. James 1:19 is quoted and says, "Everyone must be quick to listen and slow to speak." Again, please shut your mouth. It says that you should show empathy when you speak. You need to think before you speak. And ask yourself, is what you're about to say upbuilding and tactful? Because if it's not upbuilding and tactful, humbly shut your mouth. Please dance around these male egos and do not say anything too critical or straightforward. Please sugarcoat every single thing that you say because they're sensitive.
Emotional control. Promote feelings of guilt or unworthiness, such as your thoughts, feelings, actions are irrelevant or selfish, social guilt. Emotional control. Instill fear, such as fear of thinking independently, losing one's salvation, others' disapproval.
The next skills you should acquire, you should learn to manage a home. It really should say supervise. You should learn to supervise a home, because if you end up being married, then you're not the manager anymore. Then quotes Cindy, a totally real person, who says, "One of the most valuable gifts my mom gave me was teaching me the joy that comes from hard work. Learning such skills as cooking, cleaning, sewing, and shopping made my life easier." It then has a picture of a woman and maybe her mother grocery shopping and potentially haggling the price of fruit. I hate it here. Lastly, learn to be self-sufficient, but not too self-sufficient. Be modest and discerning enough to know when you need the advice, help, and headship of other people. Immediately after saying you should learn to be self-sufficient, it quotes a totally real person named Crystal, who says that her parents were involved in choosing which courses she took in high school so that she would learn practical skills. Very self-sufficient that her parents were involved in choosing those courses. And her father urged her to take accounting classes. I'm not saying you shouldn't take accounting classes. You should definitely know how to count your money. But this is not a very good example of someone being self-sufficient. This is an example of someone being told what to do by their parents. Then says that you should be able to make a budget and stick to it. Just very 1950s women get an allowance from their husband dogma.
Thought control. Require members to internalize the group's doctrine as truth. Adopting the group's map of reality as reality. Instill black and white thinking. Organize people into us versus them. Insiders versus outsiders.
On to the last subheading. The last subheading is prepare for future roles. So this is where little Jehovah's Witness girls get to learn what they get to be when they grow up within Jehovah's organization. The first one is single. Jehovah and Jesus do not look down on single Christians. Wonderful. Honestly, this is more of a status than it is a role, but cool. We'll count it. Next is you could become a full-time servant, a pioneer, a construction volunteer, a Bethelite.
Behavior control. Permission required for major decisions. Behavior control. Major time spent with group indoctrination and rituals and/or self-indoctrination, including the internet.
Then it says you could choose to be married. So far we have single, full-time service, or married. And great news! The qualities and skills that we have discussed will help you to become a capable wife. And it does remind young women that when they do get married, that they will come under the headship of the man that they marry. Honestly, this is where all of my red flags would be in these last couple of paragraphs. I cannot find a single red flag, so red, just all of it. And that a wife is humble, modest, and discerning, because a good wife is a helper. Compliment. Is this a demeaning description? No.
Information control. Teaching thought-stopping techniques which shut down reality testing by stopping negative thoughts and allowing only positive thoughts, including denial, rationalization, justification, and wishful thinking.
We know what you're thinking, and no, stop thinking that.
Behavior control. Permission required for major decisions. Behavior control. Major time spent with group indoctrination and rituals and/or self-indoctrination, including the internet. Behavior control. Dictate where, how, and with whom the member lives and associates or isolates. Behavior control. Instill dependency and obedience.
And the last future possible role for a woman is you could become a mother. So we have single, full-time servant, married, mother. And whatever you do, don't expect privileges or responsibilities such as distributing the literature in the Kingdom Hall, carrying the microphones. Don't expect to be able to do Bible readings for the congregation or pray for the congregation, do the sound or the AV, Don't expect to be able to help with the video or the IT part of the meetings, lead the service meetings unless there is no man there. And then still, if there's a baptized boy, even if he's 10, please cover your head out of respect for him. Don't expect to be able to conduct or direct traffic when it comes to the big events like the memorial or the district convention. Don't expect to be able to head count or take attendance, because all of those are privileges and responsibilities that only men can handle. Your dainty little women brains probably can't handle it. And it ends saying, you are a real asset to Jehovah's organization. I will also have a link in the description below to the website JW Facts. There's an entire page dedicated to how the Watchtower organization and the governing body and the literature has addressed women over the years. It actually has quotes and direct references to the articles or talks in question, so you can fact check everything if you want on jw.org, but it's all just right there in a nice, easy, digestible display. And how the view on women has not changed. The light has not gotten any brighter for women. It has stayed the same. You are the weaker vessel, the complement, the help, and you should not aspire to anything more. So let's tally up the score. While I couldn't find any red flags, I was able to find this. So we're getting somewhere. Maybe by the next time we do this, I'll have everything set up. Anyway, we've got 10 for behavior control. We've got 4 for information control. We've got 1 for thought control. And 6 for emotional control. So that gives us a total score of 10,416. A number just as useful and accurate as all the new light the governing body comes up with. So thank you for joining me back on the channel, and I promise we'll get back into a flow of things. This was a little rough, a little rusty, but I appreciate you sticking with me and coming back to the channel, and I will see you again next week when we break down the Watchtower, how it uses the bite model in another episode of This Bites. Please like and subscribe. Continue to think freely, black sheep.